Welcome to another study. We are considering energy transformation in nature. Energy, we know, is a source that can be transformed from one form to the other. So in the case of this study, we are going to look at how energy can be transformed from various forms to another. And equally, in the course of this study, we'll look at what we call the law of thermodynamics. But in the first instance, energy has various forms. What are the forms of energy? Energy can come in various forms in nature. For example, the ultimate form where energy can be seen is through the sunlight. Sunlight happens to be the ultimate source of energy. Every living thing derives their energy from the sunlight. And we have other forms of energy. Energy can come in a chemical form. It can come as heat. It can come in form of mechanical, in form of kinetics, and so on and so forth. But in the case of these studies, since we are looking at ecological nature, we are looking at plants and animals and other non-living organisms other non-living components that dwell in the ecosystem. So our restriction will be based on plants and animals. Now, this energy we are looking at, how does it flow? How do we have the flow of energy in nature? Energy can flow from one source to the other. Let's take, for instance, this energy from the sunlight. I told us that energy from the sunlight is the major source of energy. And how does this energy come to lamplight? Now, energy from the sunlight is always gotten by green plants. Green plants abstract this energy from the sun in the process we call photosynthesis. Now, the word photosynthesis, I'm going to break it down a little. Though we have done this in second term of SS1 work, the word photo simply means light, while synthesis is a process of breaking down larger molecules of chemicals into smaller form. Or in a nutshell, you can call it the process of manufacturing. So we now say that photosynthesis is a process whereby green plants manufacture their food through light, and the light we are talking about is the sunlight. When the food is being manufactured through sunlight, we say that that process is photosynthesis. Now, what the plant does is they get the sunlight and is trapped by a pigment known as chlorophyll. With the help of this chlorophyll, plant is able to extract the sunlight, convert it to food. At the long run, carbohydrate is given as a product. Now, in our elementary science, you agree with me that carbohydrate produces what? Energy. So that energy needed is gotten from where? Sunlight. That is why sunlight is the major source of energy to every living organism in planet Earth. This energy that is gained from the sunlight can equally be lost. So how can this energy be lost? Energy is lost in various ways. Loss of energy. Energy can be lost in various ways. For example, when herbivorous animals are animals that feed on what? Herbs. So when we talk of herbivorous animals, we are looking at animals that feed on herbs. So when these herbivorous animals feed on green grass, you discover that in most cases, they may not finish the grass, and as such, energy is lost. Even when they eat the grass, in the process of eating, the grass can evaporate. I mean, the content of that grass can evaporate in form of respiration. As such, energy is lost. So energy is lost in the following way: through evaporation, from the leaf of plants. It can be lost in animals through movements. When an animal moves from one place to the other, energy is lost. Energy can equally be lost through excretion. The removal of metabolic waste from the body, it is done by plants, it's equally done by animals. And in this process, energy can equally be lost. Energy can be lost equally in other metabolic processes. Other metabolic processes in the body can result in energy loss. Now let's look at in the entire ecosystem how this energy can be lost apart from in plants and animals. The first thing we'll consider, let's say energy lost in the ecosystem. Energy can be lost in the ecosystem in various ways. Remember that the ecosystem is made up of abiotic and biotic factors. The ecosystem is made up of biotic and abiotic factors. And the abiotic factor refers to the non-living components of the environment. So can we reason out the non-living component of the environment? The non-living component of our environment include soil, water, temperature, and so on and so forth. Those things that do not have life, but they live with us in our environment, are the non-living component. We call them abiotic factor. Then we have the biotic factor, which comprises the living things. And these living things are grouped into two. We have plants and animals. These are the two components of the biotic factor. So these two together makes up the ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, we know that energy is lost in one way or the other. And the following are the ways energy can be lost in our ecosystem. The first one is, through vegetation. Vegetation is mostly the plants. During their respiration, during transpiration, during exchange of gases, you see that energy is lost because it's a metabolic process. So they can lose energy in that form. Energy can equally be lost through abiotic factor like the soil. The soil can lose energy. Energy can equally be lost through heat. Sometimes we have volcanic eruption. It's as a result of heat from molten magma that will cause this heat that lead to eruption or explosion. That is a way energy can be lost. Energy can equally be lost through evaporation. I've said that before. Energy can be lost through evaporation. It can equally be lost through effects of wind. Let me explain this further. For example, when there is intense heat, the sun is very hot, you see that the water in the body of the ocean, the sea, the streams will evaporate into the atmosphere. So that movement of water from the sea up requires energy. And that energy that is taken up cannot come back in like manner. So that is another way energy can be lost in the ecosystem. When wind blows, in modern technology, wind can be used to generate energy. Energy like electricity. We can use wind to generate energy. So in the process of doing this, we cannot get all the energy involved. Some can be missing in transit. So other factors are there, but because of time, I would like you to read up other factors that lead to energy lost in the ecosystem. So read up other factors. I've given you 5. Let's quickly go to the laws. There are laws that govern this loss of energy. There are about 2 laws which we are going to look at. First, let us consider law of thermodynamics. The law of thermodynamics. Before we state the law, I want to tell you what thermodynamics means. Thermodynamics in a layman's perspective simply means heat changes. So when we say thermodynamics, we are looking at heat changes. So the laws of thermodynamics are 2. Let's start with the first law. The first law of thermodynamics says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Let me state that down on the board. First law. Now, this is a very important law. This law states that energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed, but it can change from one form to the other. So if you think you can destroy the energy, this law proves you wrong. But rather, this energy can change. For example, we talked about sunlight. This sun energy, when plant extracts it, it will change from sunlight energy to what? To chemical energy. So you can see that the energy was not destroyed. During photosynthesis, the energy was changed from sun to chemical. That means the energy was not destroyed. It only undergo changes. Even this chemical energy can be changed from chemical. They can change it to any other form of energy. They can even change it to, in most cases, sound energy can be changed to sound energy. It can equally be changed to maybe light energy. So there are a lot of conversion from one form of energy to the other, but the energy still remains intact. I want you to know that energy can neither be destroyed nor created. Alright, before we round up this session, let me run through what we have heard today. I said that energy, we are looking at energy transformation in nature. And I said energy comes in various forms. We have energy from the sun, we have chemical energy, sound energy, heat energy, kinetic, potentials, and the rest of it. There are a lot of energies. So we said that energy from the sun happens to be the ultimate source. Every other energy you can think of is derived from sunlight, because that is the natural form. It is from this sunlight energy can be converted from one form to the other. And energy from the sun is being extracted by plants through a pigment they call chlorophyll. So when chlorophyll is present, chlorophyll, for your information, is that green pigment, that green coloration. When you see a plant having a green color, what gives it that green look is the chlorophyll. And that is the organelle used to trap this sunlight. And when the sunlight is trapped, it's converted to chemical energy, which is the carbohydrate, which we consume. And we know that carbohydrate is an energy-giving food. So you can see that the energy is still in a chain, which we are going to look in our next series, where we have the food chain. Then this energy that is absorbed can be lost in various ways. For example, the herbivores, that is herbs eater, or we call them grass eater. When they eat these grasses, there is no way the energy can be transferred in 100%. Some can fall off of their mouth, some before they go to eat it can evaporate, some can die. But so as such, energy is being lost. Energy can be lost in animals when they move. Take for instance, you embark on manual labor. You discover that at a point you become exhausted. Why? Because the calories, the energy in you has been utilized, it has been lost. So energy can be lost. Energy can be lost through excretion, removal of waste products, and other metabolic processes. We now went further to look at the energy lost in an ecosystem. I told you that ecosystem is a system that comprises the abiotic and the biotic component. Abiotic here means non-living component, while biotic means the living component. Example of abiotic is the soil, the water, the temperature, even the non-living like stones, rock, and the rest of it are abiotic. While we have the living component to the plant and animal. So energy can be lost in form of vegetation, it can be lost in the soil through heat, evaporation of water, effect of wind, and others. I remember I told you to go and look for other forms in which energy can be lost in the ecosystem. And that led us to the law to back up this teaching. That law is called law of thermodynamics. There are two laws of thermodynamics, and we stated the first law. I told you that the first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. You cannot destroy the energy, you cannot create it. It is natural, but it can move from one form to the other. I cited an instance that from the sunlight, the energy can be converted to chemical. You can even take it to sound, you can even take it to light, as the case may be. So in our next episode, we are going to look at the second law of energy, thermodynamics. Then from there, we'll have some assignment to deal with. Thank you for your attention. I want you to go through the lesson again and ask questions where necessary. Thank you very much.